I've got with me today Kevin Howard and Alan Sperling. G'day, guys.
Hi, Dan.
Thank you very much for this.
Good.
I'm excited.
It's a bit of fun.
It will be. Now, I'm just going to reel off some stats so everyone realises the achievements of you guys. So Kevin's stats, he's played in the 1960, 61 and 63 premierships in the seniors. He was also captain in the 62 grand final. We unfortunately lost that one, but he was captain that day. He was also president from 1964 to 65. I think he might have sacked a couple of people, so we'll ask him about that. And he's a life member of the football club, so that's an amazing achievement in itself. And Al's stats aren't too bad either. He played 256 senior and reserves games. Amazing effort. 1961, 63 and 64 senior premierships. We've just gone through the stats and he's just realised he won the 54 reserves premiership as well. So he's just won a new premiership in 2023. And he was runner-up in 62 grand final, 65 grand final and the 56 reserves grand final. So he knew a thing or two about grand final day. And to go further than that, there's a million family connections which we'll delve into as well. This is almost the Howard Sperling Football Club by the looks of these names. But I'll start with you, Kevin. That is an amazing period of your life to be playing 4 senior grand finals. Your president, your captain, all that. You must look back and think, wow, it was a great time in my life.
Yeah, it was, Dan. Yes. I don't know whether we should ask Julie what she thought about it. But,
so you had to put up with all the hijinks, did
you? I had a farm to run. And, we had 4 children, so Julie was kept pretty busy and I got involved with the footy heavily because my grandfather, he came to Leongatha in 1894 and not long after that started in the football club. And,
that's the first year of the football club?
Yeah.
Wow.
And just loved his footy. He did. He was had the hotel, Corner McCartan's Hotel for many years, he and my grandmother. My father was sort of born in that era.
Okay.
And Uncle Jack, I was born in 1940, so he went to war.
Yep.
And didn't come home. But he was coached and captain of that 1940 premiership side, which was a brilliant side of footballers. My grandmother sent me away to St Pat's Sale as a boarder because my Uncle Jack and my father both were boarders at Sale College. Right. So I only spent 3 years there, came home to the farm and started playing footy. The first year that the South Gippsland League started was with Cole Chisholm.
Yep.
Was the coach. Cole was a bit of a wild boy. He really was. He was a big ruckman. Yeah. You remember him, Al?
Yeah.
And he said, I was a 15-year-old kid turned up for training, and he said to me, I remember he put his arm around my shoulders and he said, "Where do you want to play?" And I thought, if I'm going to get a game. And he said, "No." I said, "I played full forward at college." Yeah, you could play full forward then. And we had a game coming up against Yarragon, and over at Yarragon, and they were in the Gippsland League.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, "Right, you're full forward." I kicked 6 goals. So that was my position, full forward for the rest, till a fella by the name of Jock Key, who was a big man and big hands, like a beautiful footballer, moved well on the ground. For a big man, he was fast. He didn't last long that year. St Kilda took him.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't have any. He used to feed me like you couldn't believe. And so moved out to centre half forward. I spent probably a year or two there and then became a ruck rover.
Wow.
I loved being on the ball.
Yeah.
Following the ball around.
I reckon. I reckon Al's granddaughter Kate doesn't mind being a ruck rover on the netball court either. But
she doesn't either.
I'll just ask you, Al. So Kevin obviously starts in 54-ish, 55, and you're there about the same time, aren't you?
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
And that's the first year that we're in the South Gippsland Football Association.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So what are your early memories of arriving at the football club?
Well, my brother, he took me into start and train and play football.
What was his name?
Cole.
Yep.
And he was the first winner of the George Gould medal when they first brought that in. And I think my first game was against the Stony Creek seconds on the main oval in Leongatha.
Oh, yeah.
And just sort of went from there then. But no, they were good early days, very enjoyable, and sort of worked my way through. I got a few games in the seniors around about 58, 59, and then I ended up back in the seconds for 12 months, and then in 61 I lined up at full back.
Oh, right.
Didn't have a clue what I was doing. And I said to Rod Cameron, how come you? He said, I don't remember putting you down there. And that's where I stayed until 1969.
Wow.
Yeah. So, that was all good. There's always one thing you always guaranteed of a kick.
Yeah.
Because the other mob would always kick a few points.
Yeah.
So, you had to get a kick or two there.
So is that the first time you two meet when you get to the footy, or do you know each other before you get there?
Family knew one another.
Okay.
We've sort of grown up together a bit, haven't we?
Yes, yeah.
Played football.
So I went away to school, which Al went to the local school.
Mm.
But once we started playing footy, and then we started playing cricket together.
Yeah.
So we've been part of the
Furniture
for a number of years now.
So who's the better footballer? Al's got his hand up.
No, he better player than me.
Was he?
Dan, definitely.
I wouldn't. You were a reliable player. That's why you were full back, and it was one of the hardest spots in the team, I reckon, the full back position, because you had, you had more than one player to look after. You had a big ruckman in the pocket and a smart little rover in the other one. You had a big job.
And people remember if you've had goals kicked on you too. So you've got the pressure of he's had 7 kicked on him today. You could mess up in the centre and it wouldn't matter. We know if Al's had a few kicked on him.
Yeah, no, I had a good run. I had good blokes around me. Brucey Pearce was in the back pocket for quite a while, and now and then Kevin would be in the back pocket. And Doug Bryden at centre half back was a good player.
Yes.
Jeff Painter. And if there was any funny business went on, a bit of a blue started, well, I was in good company with Kevin and Piercy and Doolin around. They didn't stand any messing around. I just sort of stand back and let them go.
That's smart. So you're a smart footballer as well.
I would send Jock Key down there.
Jock
He was the tough guy in the team, was he?
No, it was. They were all good.
No, we didn't actually have anybody in our side that I could think of that was a wild man.
No, you're right.
That created problems. Went a bit silly. We didn't.
Okay. So describe Leongatha town to me in the 50s. What was it like as opposed to today?
Well, you knew everyone, didn't you? And everybody knew you, sort of.
Yeah.
It was, and the old steam train used to pull in.
Yeah.
Because I lived with my grandparents in the hotel in those early war years when my mother went. My father was away, and my mother went back to Melbourne to look after her father for a few years. And anyway, my grandparents took me on, and my auntie Doris Hickey looked after. Well, she was a Howard in those days, and I used to get carted down to the railway line look at the trains. I used to know the driver. They used to blow their whistles and over the steam over the bridge.
That's
and
right.
The ladies, there was a bus, Sinclair's bus line it was called, and it was the greatest bus. It was a very wide bus, and it had doors on either side, and they went the whole way down the line of the bus.
Yeah.
And the seats, you got in and you pushed over until you got halfway. And the footballers used to use them of a Saturday. They didn't travel. Nobody had cars in those days. So they had to get over in the valley somehow. So they used to go by Sinclair's bus line.
That's right. Yep.
And I got taken to the footy one day by Liz Baker, who was coaching at the time. And it wasn't grandmother, Auntie Doris, took me out the front of the pub. The bus was out there and the footballers were lining up. And she said to Baker, "You get him home tonight." So that's all right. Off we go. We went to Morwell and played in Morwell. They won the footy. So they went down the pub in Morwell. They went to the pub in Yannar. They went to the pub in Merbu North on the way home. And I'm sitting in the front of the bus. Anyway, on the way from Merbu North coming home, someone yelled out, what was Bill Ryan's name?
Turkey Ryan, yeah.
Turkey Ryan, he's not in the bus.
Yeah.
Oh, Paul, the bus pulls up. Anyway, Turkey's up on the roof. And there's a big cage sort of thing up on the roof of these buses. And he puts his head over the side and looks in the front window, just in front of me. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. So anyway, they made him get down off the bus.
Yeah.
We get home to Leongatha. It's about midnight.
Yeah.
And Auntie Doris is out the front waiting for
pounding
the
the
bus.
street.
And did she get into Baker? Anyway, I had a great time. They gave me some money to buy some broken biscuits. And I got the biggest bag of broken biscuits you've ever seen.
Got a memory.
So anyway, like the whole town got behind football in those days. There was no netball, very little golf. We had the 9-hole golf down at the Oval. Bit of tennis, some good tennis players. But
They were the only sports then, weren't they?
that was it.
Yeah.
Bit of cricket, there wouldn't be many teams playing cricket in those days.
About
Half
eight.
a dozen?
There was 8.
8 was there.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was a good town, you know.
Yeah.
I used to come up sometimes from down the station on the beer trolley. 4 big horses, draft horses, pulling the barrels up and rolling them down into the cellar of the pub, my grandfather's pub, and go up to Beer's pub and do them. And
that's where you learnt to drink.
When I could put my chin on the bar.
Well, great memories.
It was a good town, really.
Good place.
What about you, Al? What sort of memories stand out to you about the town?
Well, I can all remember my brother saying that, when he made a football team or whatever, it was like you made a league team.
Yeah.
And everyone sort of was that interested in the football and cricket and whatever.
Yes,
I mean, it's been a good sporting town.
Yeah.
Leongatha, really, whatever people have participated in, they've always done very well, haven't they?
You only got to look at the history, go back to the very start.
But
and they had some great coaches, We had Titch Edwards,
that's right.
who was ex-Fitzroy in those days, and he lived at the hotel with my grandparents. So I saw a lot of him. We used to kick the footy to one another in the backyard.
That's right.
He coached the premiership side.
51. I think.
51, that's right. Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
And he was a single man. He didn't have family, other than his sister lived here in Leongatha. And he travelled, he had coaching jobs all over the state. He coached a lot of teams. But he's a good man, Titch.
Yeah, my word, he was.
So was he a good one to learn off coming from VFL days?
Yeah, that's
pretty
right.
exciting.
Yeah. he spoke very well. He never got, well, as a kid listening to him, I used to always follow him around. And on the Saturdays, if they were playing home, I was in the rooms. But he never raised his voice. Very beautiful man he was,
Do you have any memories, Al, of the 51 as a kid watching it? Do you have
Yes, we used to go over by car, of course, and Brother Cole was playing in him.
Yeah.
And we'd leave the football, come home, milk 40 or 50 cows, finish that, hop in the car, and then we'd come into the local theatre and to the pictures.
Oh, yeah.
And that happened for a few years.
Yeah.
And then during halftime of the films, Dad would go out and order fish and chips at Racavolis's cafe.
Chip shop.
And then we'd pick them up after the movie and go home and eat them in front of the fire.
Wow.
Only trouble is I could never get home from Leongatha to home without being crook. I don't know why. I think it was all in my brain, but I was right after I got
Like car 6?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
You're just going that far.
Yeah.
Where'd you live back then?
Out on Whitelaw's track.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just only about 5 k's out.
Where were you, Kevin? You're in the pub,
I was
in
the town in those days, but we were just out the road here, 3.5 k's out of Leongatha.
Bilby's Hill and turn right, wasn't it?
Sorry?
Bilby's Hill. Turn right.
Turn right, down Gwyther's Road.
That's right, to Howard's Road.
Howard's Road.
Is that named after you guys?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's one in the town which my grandfather had quite a bit of land where the old primary school.
Yep.
That was all vacant land when I was a kid, and they used to have milk a couple of cows, have chooks, pigs, turkeys. I'll always remember the turkey. Christmas time, they cut his head off, bang, jumped up and chased me. and there was blood squirting out of this poor turkey's head. I'm trying
to put that in, Dan.
I'm trying to climb up the gate.
I might have to put a warning on the front of that.
But anyway, I
wish they had video cameras back then. That would have been funny. Scary.
That's how it's.
Yeah.
Oh, right. I didn't know that.
Down there, yeah.
Okay. Describe the rec reserve, Al, at that time when you start. What's different as opposed to today?
She's changed quite a bit, really. There used to be a wooden 2-rail fence right around the ground, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah.
And
well, it was used. Go on.
Jimmy McLennan used to run sheep on the reserve.
Yep.
And,
the whole lot.
I know during the cricket season we'd have to go and chase the sheep off the ground and sweep all the bloody sheep dung off the pitch before you played.
Yeah.
And
but it kept the grass down. It did a good job, didn't it?
Yeah, no, it did a good job.
There was no maintenance around the ground.
No, that's right, yeah.
That actually was built. I know my grandfather was involved in the setting up of that ground.
Yeah.
As an big athletic day they used to have here.
Oh, yeah, they did too.
And the stand has an extension. It used to have, because over the years the weather just rotted the front part of the stand.
Oh.
So that was all demolished, taken away, and just steps put up into the stand.
Hasn't changed much, really, has it?
That hasn't, other than
she's been a good structure.
Yeah.
The cricketers got involved. Noel Clark got involved with the Shire, Keith Godridge, and built social rooms underneath and the new change rooms for the footy.
Yeah.
And that made a big difference because over the years, in the early days, grog was not a big thing. I didn't drink at all. I didn't like, because I used to see so much trouble in the hotel. So that's where they used to go after footy, up the pub.
That's right.
And then they were able to have social events down at the footy rooms. The cricket did during the season.
Magnificent setup now, really, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it is. It's the best ground in I reckon in Victoria.
Yeah.
Beautiful ground.
There's only one bloke in Leongatha's history that's won 5 senior premierships. Trevor Hayward.
Yeah, that'd be right. Tassie, yeah, that'd be
Tell me
right.
about, is that his nickname, Tassie?
Yeah.
Can you tell me about him as a player?
Oh, yeah, no, Tassie's a good player.
The Haywards came from Tasmania. That's how his name's Tassie. And he was playing football before we started playing football.
Yeah, he was too, yeah.
So, and he just continued his football career. I don't ever remember him missing a game because of injury of any sort. He married a local girl.
Yeah,
and
Mary.
you know, they just grew up.
Yep.
And we were close friends. We used to, perhaps something we did of a Saturday night after home games, we would go to someone's house.
Yep.
And take something to eat.
Might be a few there, that's right.
And just listen to some music and talk about the game and that sort of thing.
Right, yeah.
And Tassie was always a part of that.
Okay.
So, and then he had a brother Bob, who wasn't a bad sort of a footballer. A bit wild.
Right. Yeah.
He was the one I sacked
Yeah.
from our thirds coach for 1 week.
Just tell us that story. You mentioned it before we were recording the show, but just tell us what happened.
It was we were changing coaches. I think Otto had sort of just about had enough, and Bob put his hand up. He was a married boy, but didn't have any family as such. Put his hand up to coach the thirds, and I think I must have been getting a bit desperate for someone to take the thirds on, because I was trying to be there with them at training and pre-season sort of thing. And Bob came to me one day and said he would be prepared to take on the thirds. I said, okay, very good. So we started off, and things were going all right until one night I came in from just to watch the kids train, and one of the kids came up to me and said, Bob will be going up the pub soon. And I said, what's this? What do you mean? What's the story? And he said, no, he sets us up training and then just disappears and then comes back. So I thought, something's got to be done here. Yeah. I'm in charge. So I had a coming into a meeting, footy meeting, and I thought, now I'll go and see Bob at home. I won't talk to him down the footy rooms. I went in to see him at home, and he and his wife, and I had to tell him that I was sacking him as the thirds coach. Well, I got, it was on, mainly from the wife. So anyway, I just left. I said, well, that's it, Bob, I'm going to the meeting. Anyway, I went to the meeting, told the meeting, and everything was all right. They thought, perhaps that's what you should do. A couple of weeks later, we got together again, and I put it to them about what had happened. And John Trotman, who was an old, back in the early days of football, he had played in this team over in the mid Gippsland at the end of his career. And he got up and made a bit of a speech and said, no, you've got to have Bob back again. We'll take a vote on it. Up goes the hands, and everybody voted, I think, for him.
You're the only one against it?
No, I was against it. So I felt a bit stupid. Anyway, that was it. So we probably finished up winning the grand final, the thirds anyway, that year. So
you had to go with your tail between your legs.
That was it. Yes.
You had to go and tell him he's reinstated.
Yeah. Back on $100,000.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, that was one of the downsides.
Yeah. Just on Trevor again, what was he like as a player? Where did he play? What position?
Half forward rover, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a rover football.
Kicked a lot of goals too, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, good player.
Okay.
Yeah,
he's a good. a good kick of the ball, nice drop kick, you know.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he used to do a lot of drop kicks.
Passing the ball around.
Yeah, no.
Is he still alive?
Yeah.
No,
he's
he's
not.
not.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, he's
No,
that'll be
he's
what,
not. None of the hybrids.
2 or 3 years
Next.
ago now, would it?
Oh,
Would be 3
Yeah,
years
so,
ago.
Did he stay in the area?
Yeah, he just lived over here,
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
In town.
opposite the Catholic Church, wasn't he? He lived in there.
finished up. He
Well,
he
Mary's
lived up
still
near
there.
the hospital in his early
That's right.
days,
Yeah.
and then
Well, his wife's still there, is she?
No, she just lives opposite the.
Mary's still
House up at the
available. She's a
Catholic
bit
Church.
younger than
Mary.
Trevor.
Okay.
Mary Gardner, wasn't it?
Yes, she's
Okay.
a gardener.
Okay. So, what was the actual dressing room like when you started out playing seconds and seniors?
I mean, they weren't flash, but you know they were okay. I mean, you'd go down and play at Meenion, and half the wall was gone, wasn't it? And no windows, no nothing,
No.
and you're on virtually dirt floor, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they were quite good down here, really.
Yeah,
I mean, they're good now.
Leongatha was,
Yeah, they were.
because it was a showground as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the show society were all farmers, and you know what all farmers are like, pretty enthusiastic about doing things.
Yeah.
And underneath the grandstand was a food area where they
Oh, yeah.
come in, and they did the same for football. You know, the women's committee looked after a cup of tea and sandwiches and that sort of thing.
That's right.
The change rooms for the opposition weren't quite as good as the ones for the local team.
Club
because
didn't matter about the opposition.
Bit of rain shower. That's right.
Cold showers.
Yeah.
and they're still the rooms are still the same as they were many years ago,
Oh,
but they built on a gymnasium
Yeah.
on the Leongatha rooms, dressed them up a bit.
Yeah.
So
Did you guys have any weights back then when you were
no,
training?
wait, we used
Only
to-
what we had on ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
No, nothing like that.
Okay.
Nothing at
no,
all.
Okay.
no, there was no
Train perhaps once, twice a week.
twice a week.
Tuesdays and
normal
Thursdays.
twice a week, and
Yeah.
then when I was captain, I said to a few of the country, you know, the farmer boys, instead of, in the winter time, by the time we'd milk cows, it was dark and there's no lights on in those days.
That's right. Yeah.
What about we have an
Afternoon.
Thursday afternoon training run?
Yeah.
So we did. So we'd get
And we used to organise that perhaps a few weeks before the finals, didn't we?
yes, we did.
It wasn't every week, but
No,
it was around the
That was-
finals we'd have a bit of a run around there.
yeah.
Well, you're in the finals, everybody. Yeah, you had
Yes.
to prepare
No,
for it because you
Yeah,
knew you
no,
were going
that's
to win
right.
it, weren't you?
Yeah.
It's an amazing era that you come up in because
It was a golden era.
I mean, we're going through the stats before, and Gatha, just for the seniors alone, they play off in the 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 60. Or you play off in all those grand finals, win four of them, and then finish third in 66, and then runner-up 67, 68. It's an amazing era. We think of today's era, and that's really good, but this is even better than that. It's
That's
amazing.
right. Yes. Yep. For
It
sure.
must have been just a great time to be around the club.
Oh, it was magnificent. Yeah, magnificent.
I think in those days too, we were lucky that a lot of rural school teachers that came in the Leongatha area were good footballers.
Oh, yeah.
Bankers. A lot of bankers.
And the bank.
Bankers,
Yeah, right.
Teachers.
So there was,
Stock agents.
yeah,
You know, there was they were all sports people.
Any names that jump out at you?
oh, well, I suppose if we look through,
Yeah, grab one of those premiership teams.
where are we?
I remember
There's
Tony Bliss.
61.
He was sort of an emergency in the Geelong premierships in the 53 and
51,
51 and
52.
52. I
Yeah.
think he was in around that, on the verge of getting a game.
Okay.
And he come into town and he coached Meenion actually for 1 or 2 years.
Yes,
I only know Tony because he played cricket with Kearney.
yeah.
And it was a lot of good blokes come in. Bernie Orr, he was a wingman.
Yep.
Bruce McKean come from up Yarrawonga. He lives at Yarrawonga now.
Yep.
Who else we got? Kevin?
Well, we're a bit lucky with the Burrows boys.
Ron and Bill Burrows.
That came in
Yes.
to the news agency. Their father brought the news agency.
That's right, yes. Yep.
And Bill had played Melbourne thirds
Oh.
before they came up here.
Yep. Yep.
And then Ron, he wasn't a bad footballer on the wing.
Ron, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, so there was quite a few good blokes come in. No one that sort of really stood out in league football, I suppose. About the only one to be Ian Salmon, but that was after us, of course.
And then Ruffy.
Oh yeah, Michael, Jared. Man.
Yeah, later on. Yeah.
Long after our time.
Poor old Jared lives in the unit just here. He's bad with MS.
Michael.
Yeah, Michael. Yeah.
Yes.
He was a good ruckman in his day, wasn't he?
He was one of our premiership. I remember over at where was it, Maui?
Yeah, be Maui.
Maui. That he dominated the ruck against Traralgon.
Yep.
It was,
Yep.
and we won that game. Then he won the Howard Trophy for the best on ground that day.
Is it named after your family?
We gave him, the four of us, myself and my three brothers were watching that game, and we decided that Ruffy had to win the trophy.
Do they still give that out?
No, they don't.
Who came up with
what
that?
sort of happened? It just faded. It was probably we mightn't have played in every grand final, so that we didn't pick.
Oh, gotcha.
The best on the ground.
So who came up with that award? Was that something you came up with?
I did.
Yeah.
I said to brother Chris, who was played 250 games for Leongatha. He was sort of not
good Indian.
Yeah, he was a hard man. Could beat, put him on somebody that was a good footballer, and he could
look after,
keep them under control.
Yeah.
So
you said to him about the award.
I thought, come on, we've got to pick the best player on that day.
Okay.
Ruffy was the man.
Wow.
We had Keith Coulter.
Yeah.
His dad was involved in the footy. I was on the committee.
That's right.
And,
Wilson Coulter.
Yes.
His father. Yep.
And Keith was a tall man.
Mm-hmm.
He's a ruckman, and
died very young.
He died from cancer when he was
in his 20s. Would he? In his 20s.
In his 20s.
Wow.
Yes. He played a few games with Fitzroy.
Oh, right.
So.
So was Leongatha, the other teams in the comp, like your Stonies and Meanians, they're a smaller region to Leongatha. Is that why we were able to secure a lot of those really good teachers and all those types? Leongatha was more the central.
It was then.
Yep.
Yes.
That's right. And they sort of pick up a few players out of there now, don't they? Like around
yeah, that's right.
Play a better standard or whatever.
And, yes, and there's a bit of money involved in players today, which I don't think.
Yeah.
How much did you earn, Al?
Well, remember when we got back into Central Gippsland, or Latrobe Valley?
Yeah.
They put a fund for retirement fund or something, and any win you got $5 a win. The first year we got back into. There. And I played in 3 winning teams, and I still haven't seen $1 of it.
Mal Mackey, you listening to this?
Played $1 a year for nothing.
So that was the only incentive financially that through your time that was ever there?
Yeah, I can remember.
Yes.
Oh, they used to award a shirt for the best player on the ground now and then.
Award.
Oh, yeah.
And somebody might chuck in a £1 note or 10 bob or the supporter, of course.
Okay.
The men's store used to supply a shirt each week.
Yeah.
And that was usually picked by selection committee or something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's not the shirts you're wearing
Ronnie-
now, is it? You've still got them on.
Ronnie Burrows and I shared the year awards for shirts
Oh,
back in some year, whatever it was.
And you still got them.
yeah, I bet he has. Yeah.
When I was president, we started a committee, a past players
Oh, yeah.
committee, and Jimmy Coyle got interested with me, and we used to have social events, and a raffle every Friday night around the town. Jimmy used to do that with a few of his mates.
Bill Ryan, was he another? He used to raise a lot of money, didn't he, old Bill?
No,
Was that? No, it was
no,
the
I don't
highest and
think-
lowest.
Oh yes, that was
before
That
then.
was before
Yeah,
this
yeah.
stuff. And but we used to. It was a secret amount of money that we raised. I looked after the money.
Yep.
I had a big safe in my shop which I could put Friday night raffle in, take it to the bank on the Monday, and we paid players, and nobody knew about it.
Oh, yeah.
Bar Jimmy Coyle and myself and a couple of others. Graham Elliott, I think, might have been on the committee.
Any chance you could get me $15?
Bit of back pay.
Bit of interest on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we did. We paid out thousands of dollars
Really?
to
Wow.
players, to get players to come to Leongatha.
Okay.
There
Wow.
wouldn't be too
But it
many
didn't-
know this, Dan.
No, it's all coming out now. Keep wanting and they hate us now.
They've never learned something.
Yeah, that is interesting.
It wasn't promoted because, it wasn't, whether it was legal or not, I don't know, in those days.
Yeah, I mean, there wouldn't have been salary caps and all that stuff.
No, hell no.
No.
Because was there...
Well, the coach was the only one that you thought got paid,
Okay. So even when you were captain in 62, you weren't paid extra something for being captain? Or
No.
just paid
no.
yourself out of your
Yeah.
safe, didn't you?
Helps
Yeah,
himself.
no, we didn't.
But there was no extra
No,
incentive.
nobody.
Okay.
No.
There was nobody paid. And I don't know, the coach wasn't paid a hell of a lot of money either. It was
Sometimes I
like,
find
I don't know, whether Rod Cameron probably didn't get paid
Yeah.
when he was there. He's a school teacher.
Yeah.
Had a good income, I suppose, in those days.
Sometimes it's about finding a job for a guy coming into the area, isn't
Yeah,
it? More
that's
so
right.
than the actual pay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although
Yeah, well-
most of them who come to the area already had jobs, didn't they? The ones that
Teachers
well,
and that.
I
Yeah.
remember
like do their own businesses.
Keith Rosewarne came from St Kilda, and there was a job available for him here in the town.
Yep.
I know my grandfather used to get a lot of businesses to support the football club.
So the town was really behind the team.
Oh,
you
gee,
don't
yeah.
know.
No, good
Like,
support.
It was amazing.
Yep.
If they were home of a Saturday,
Yeah.
that everybody, you'd have thought they were going to a wedding or to a funeral. They dressed up. The women had hats on, gloves on. I used to look at these people in front of the grandstand. Thousands of people, the whole town. It used to shut down. There was nothing open.
Oh, yeah.
There'd be hardly a little cafe with their doors open.
Yep.
Everybody was at the football.
It was the main day out, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a big time.
Yeah.
It was lovely, really,
Wow.
when I think about it.
Yeah, I bet.
So,
Just tell me, we'll touch on these grand finals in a sec, but I was looking through some of the team photos and there were some names that were involved with in terms of trainers over the years. I'll just reel a few off and maybe you guys can just share. But Jack Diper, Brian Diper, who I think was his son,
yes.
Frank Harley, Alan Haywood, someone called Lofty, Doug Hemming, Ken McInnes and Otto Bone, I think a lot of people
Yes,
know.
I
Just
know.
your memories of some of these guys, Alan.
Yeah, well, Otto, he also coached the thirds as well, and then he'd come along to
he had a
train
good
after
run
the
with
thirds.
thirds.
And Kenny McGuinness was another one.
Yep.
He used to did a lot of training. They were all good blokes. I don't know whether they knew what they were doing or not, but
You didn't need them.
they looked
training.
impressive anyway.
Yeah.
No.
Because those sort of volunteers make up the fabric of the club, don't they?
Yeah, no, they did.
That's for
They
sure.
were there. They were supporters.
They make it.
Did you have your own trainer that you'd go to for a strapping? Or did you have your favourites? Or
Didn't have strapping.
oh, there's no strap.
What
No
was that?
I can remember a game down at Poowong, and it was a Poowong.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
ground.
she
It
was a mud heap. Yeah,
terrible
Was it?
ground.
Yeah.
yeah.
And anyway, I don't know why Trevor Stubbs happened to be this day. He was a trainer. He used to play footy and he'd given football away, but he used to follow us. And he said to me, he said, "Hey, I'll rub a bit of oil on you before you go out." It was a cold, wet day. So he comes over with this bottle and he's rubbing it on the legs. I never had ever bothered to have a rub
never
down
had that.
of any time, really.
Okay.
Wasn't interested in that sort of thing. Anyway, he said he's rubbing it on and it didn't look like it was oil. SPC, headache powder, stuff it was.
Oh, right.
Did it work?
I'm covered in it. Yeah, anyway, I won the shirt that day, so
Oh, it must have been good.
it must have done some good.
No, I've never had a rub down or
No.
No.
never got injured. I suppose I kept out of the way of getting injured maybe, but no, I was
Yeah.
lucky.
Yeah.
Yep, never missed a game really in all that
No,
time.
if you played that many games, you couldn't have missed any.
No, that's amazing.
No,
Yeah,
that's right.
250 plus. It is amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. And was the ladies' committee active then? Like was there still
Yeah.
dinners or barbecues or that sort of stuff, fundraising?
Yeah, they had a ladies' committee.
There
I
was a
remember.
ladies' committee, and my grandmother was the president of the. She finished up with her life membership,
Margaret?
Margaret,
Yeah.
and they had sons that used to play footy,
Yep.
most of them,
Yeah.
and they used to make the cup of teas, and at half time.
Oh, yeah.
There was nothing social after footy.
Yep.
Everybody just footballs all went to the pub, and I can remember. I think alcohol was a bit of a problem in those days.
Yep.
Truly, because it was 6 o'clock closing,
Yeah.
and blokes used to knock off halfway through the afternoon to get to the pub to have their beers. And fortunately, there was no cars in those days either, so they used to stagger off home. I can remember seeing them quite enough with blood pouring out the top of their heads with their tipped out of the steps coming out of the pub. It was,
It'd come 6 o'clock, wouldn't they? And old
Yeah.
Leo had a bench
Pure.
on the wall, and they'd buy about half a dozen and sit them all up there, and then they could sit there and drink them till whenever they got
Till
rid
the-
of them, I suppose.
Oh,
the
right.
coppers, the police, and the police were good in those days. They were
Yeah.
older constables.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
And
right.
they used to come in and walk up to the bar and say to my grandfather, "That's it, Jim."
Yeah,
And Pop used to say,
Yeah.
"That's it, all done."
Yep.
And
Yep.
as Al said, the guys who said them enough, they lined their glasses up on. But that shouldn't have been done because that was the fault of the people that were pulling the beers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I suppose that was money.
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
of course.
but
Yeah, no, that's
I
right.
remember only Doris used to take half a dozen of the tradies into the back bar
Ah, yeah.
after
Yeah,
hours.
that's right. Yep.
And
So,
It was highly illegal.
that was
yeah, yeah.
pub days.
Yeah, that's right.
So you finished a game of footy, but it's 6 o'clock closing, so the footballers wouldn't have had much time to get a drink. Or did they sneak them
Not
out
really.
the back as well?
Yeah, they used
I never-
to look after them
Okay.
because a lot of bottled beer
Yep.
was sold in those days. The big bottles.
Yeah, yeah.
I can remember.
I never really drank in anyway. I suppose I used to go straight home.
Yeah, you
I
did.
never.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
No.
I didn't like beer. Eventually, when it came time to have a beer, I didn't like it, so I didn't drink
Didn't
it.
worry about it.
Yeah.
No,
Okay. Tell us about who's coach first in. Rod Cameron is coach in 60 and 61 when you win flags. So just something about your memories of Rod as a coach.
Yeah, no, I can remember Rod. sort of grew up. He was a teacher out at Cooraman, and he was also a cricketer. And that was when I first started in '53.
Yep.
And then he took on the footy job when I'd sort of got a regular game in the seniors at full back. And I said to Rod once, I said, well, how come? I said, that must have been I should thank you for putting me at full back. He said, well, it wasn't me that did it. So I don't know how I come to get at full back.
It's the greatest coaching move ever.
Well, yeah, that's right, yeah. But, no, real good gentleman, Rod. He never ranted or raved or anything like that. He was straight to the point.
No, he didn't.
And, he just listened and did what you were told and away you went.
Yeah.
No, he was real good, Rod.
Okay.
And I was lucky I had Rod Cameron and then John O'Keefe,
Yep.
who in my book, I reckon he was perhaps in that time was the best player.
John was a good player, wasn't
For Leongatha, captain. He played a few games with Carlton.
Oh, right.
And, there's a lot of good players around there. Freddie Jungworth, Bill Burrows, Ken Baromeo, he could take a mark.
Yeah.
And, but no, Rod was real good.
Yep.
Couldn't fault him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he played centre half back in that Gippsland
That's
team.
right, the 51 team.
Premiers.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And, but the shame of it, poor Rod didn't have it. He was married. Lois worked in a butcher shop in Leongatha.
Mm-hmm.
But he was just such a quiet sort of fellow. He never raised his voice, did he?
No.
He didn't abuse you, if you're making mistakes. And I got him, and I kept in touch with Rod up until he died. He quite sort of ill at the last stages of his life, but I used to love the man.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep, no.
Was he someone who'd give you a rev-up speech at the last three-quarter time? You're close in 60, you win the grand final by 9 points, 6 over Stony Creek. Then 61, you beat Wani by 26 points. So they were close games, particularly that first one.
Stony Creek.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were a tough side actually, Stony Creek, and
Were they ever?
they had some good footballers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They had all
the
these
Dempsey
big
boys.
tall blokes, Dempseys.
Yes,
Yeah,
And they'd be just jogging along beside you and their elbows would be whacking you in the head, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brian finished up. He played with Melbourne Seconds.
Yeah.
Sort of the end of his football.
Yeah.
But they were good. I don't know.
Nothing
I
at Stony
enjoyed-
Creek, was it?
I enjoyed Stony Creek people.
Very competitive, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there any memories from any of these grand finals that stand out to you?
No, not really. I haven't.
No.
All I know that we won and we celebrated
Yeah, I think
fairly
they
well.
were just hard games.
Yeah.
63, you beat Currumborough by 8 points. 64, you beat Murbu North by 6 points. So they were neck and neck.
Neck and neck. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, Murbu North. They had a good side too.
Yeah. The Snells.
Oh, yeah.
All them Pud Snell.
Yeah.
Only bloke that I could remember that all he ever kicked was a drop kick.
Yeah.
Could be
Yeah,
mud and all that,
that's right.
and old Pud would still do a drop kick.
Yeah.
And do it well too.
Yeah, well, but I can remember when Pud Key was still playing before he went to St Kilda.
Yeah.
Used to do the drop
The
punt.
drop punt, yeah.
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I could kick. I was a left footer, and I reckon that I was as good a kicker of a football in playing when I was playing footy.
Okay.
I used to be able to kick goals from 50 odd yards out, and then a torpedo. If you're on a bit of an angle, you drop a torp in,
Yeah.
and that was a good kick of the ball too. That's what a lot of blokes used to kick, or the old punt kick wasn't.
Just got to look at Peter Hudson.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Flat punt.
But
Yeah.
no, I suppose footballs are better today than they ever were when we were playing footy.
Well, fitness is different, and they actually are
Yeah,
training full time, so they're not
they're
having
a lot
other jobs.
fitter,
are they? So
No, that's right.
what was your kick of choice, Al?
I used to kick out with a drop kick now and then, or the drop punt.
Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as you got to you got to get rid of it, haven't you?
I think it depends on the day a bit.
Yeah, of course it
The
does.
weather
Yep.
had a bit of a bearing.
I used to have a little bit of a thing with Graham Crofts there for a while. He'd sneak down into the back pocket, and I could just knock it out there 30 yards to him, and then he'd kick it up to the wing, and she's well out of the way.
Yeah.
But I'd only get her out the half back line, maybe at the most.
Yes.
Sometimes
But
I'd kick
you-
it back over your
I
head. But
think,
Yeah.
yeah, I think your ability was to be able to kick the ball to
Yeah,
your
I can
player.
pick someone
That you're
out.
on your own team, you
Yep.
know, instead of just blazing away.
Yeah, no, that's
and hope
right.
for the
Yeah,
best.
because I always reckon if you got to get the ball, you got to do something with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No
to
good,
your advantage.
no good kicking the opposition, really.
Was training heavily based around skills and everything, or was it more around running?
No,
and-
just around circle work, wasn't it? Really,
Yes, yeah. In the dark.
in the dark.
That's right. You could hide if you wanted to.
Yeah, get out in the flank.
Yeah.
Yeah, just that and a few
Oh,
sprints,
no,
wasn't it?
Yeah,
At the finish and
I think fitness was, you know, a lot of the footballers were farmers anyway.
yeah, no, fairly fit
And
anyway.
you're on the go all day.
Yeah.
You know, if you wanted to something down the paddock, you'd run.
Yeah,
You know, even
Yeah.
in the gumboots. I used to
Yeah.
love running around in gumboots
yeah,
and
yeah. No, that's right. Yeah.
messing around.
Did what you had to do, didn't you?
Yeah.
How early would pre-season start for you guys? Like a week before the first round? Or?
Well, it was
Cricket.
football would finish, and 2 weeks you'd at least be in the cricket,
Yep.
and then cricket would finish, and there'd only be another 2 weeks break, and you're back into football. So you didn't have any break
Constantly doing
really.
something.
Just straight
Yeah,
out of one
no.
end to the other, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you weren't doing any footy training at January, February type
Oh,
stuff.
geez, no, that was
No.
unheard of.
Yeah,
No,
grounds are too hard.
cricket.
Yeah,
Your cricket training used to start in the afternoon through the week sometime, whatever suited everybody.
yeah, that's right.
And you'd
yeah.
turn up, put the nets up,
Yeah.
and
Team did you
sit
two?
around and have a yarn. You know, it was just
Yeah,
a
oh, she
get
was never-
together.
Never hard on practice, that's for sure. She was just
Yeah.
have a hit in the bowl, and that was it, sort of.
What cricket team did you two play for?
We played with Coonwarra.
Oh,
Yep.
yep.
Yeah, well, Al's got a fair history of cricket for
Yes.
Coonwarra and for the association. So,
Yeah. What was Al's strength as a cricketer?
well, he made a lot of runs.
I'm not listening to this.
He made a lot of runs, and he could bowl. He was a medium. His brother Cole was the wicket keeper when I started playing with Coonwarra,
Oh, yeah.
and Cole was a wicket keeper that stood up on the stumps. Didn't matter who was bowling.
Yeah.
He was a good keeper. And then he retired, and I had to go at keeping. I
We
used
just told you were doing it. That was it, wasn't it?
Yeah, I probably did. Al and I used to open the batting
Oh, right.
when in those days, and I used to like. He used to swing, be a good swing bowler,
Oh, yeah.
but he didn't fail as a. If he did, that was the end of you, Sperling. He didn't make any runs this day, but most weeks
Yeah, get off.
he made runs. He was a good batsman,
Okay.
a nice batsman, stylish batsman.
And what was Kevin like as a
So
cricketer?
I was a batter.
No, he was pretty capable.
Yeah.
Yeah, he played in a couple of premierships with us, didn't you?
Yes, yeah.
You-
We had some
You top scored in one of them.
good runs.
Yeah, no, he was
Okay.
good
Oh,
player.
it was enough.
Good player. No
What,
worries.
as a footballer, what was Kevin like?
Oh no, extremely good.
Yeah.
Yep, no. He'd
It was a bit lucky.
he was a bit good when he come down the back line. He used to be handy down there, I know, because when he got it, he'd get a good kicker out, clear a fair way out, of course.
Yeah.
But no, good player.
Did you have the? You're growing up during the pre-TV eras, so did you have sporting heroes yourselves? Like Kevin, did you grow up idolising a VFL player or Leongatha players, or did you have heroes?
I was followed Collingwood,
Yeah.
Neil Mann.
Oh yeah.
I used to, you know, not that we could see him play a lot of football.
No,
Radio? Did you listen to?
Yeah, radio.
Yeah.
And I had a. My father had a cousin. The cousin was a lady, and the husband, Jack Hester was his name. He played for Hawthorn in the Jack Dyer era.
Yeah.
So we used to have sort of a bit to do with football, league football, and every now and again I used to go down and stay overnight at the weekend with these people, and they'd take me to the footy, always a Collingwood game, and Neil Mann, Thorough Merritt, who I got to meet through college football. I was in our senior football team, and we used to play Kilmore.
Oh, yeah. Assumption College.
Yes.
Yeah.
Twice a year we would play Kilmore. Yeah. And Thorough Merritt, being a good Catholic, used to come along and watch our footy. Yeah. And he said to me, because I was only the youngest in the team, he used to have a bit of a yarn to me and a bit of advice.
That's exciting as a kid.
And then I kept in touch with him after I'd finished school.
Yep.
He had a sports store, 2 sports stores in Melbourne, in the business district. But he was a very mature, calm, through of a person.
You're getting along all right.
So, but Collingwood, have always followed Collingwood. You know, they had some good players.
What about you, Al?
Graham Arthur was a bit of a fan of mine.
Yeah.
And in footy and in the cricket, I was Keith Miller.
Oh, yeah. Swashbuckling Keith Miller.
He was great.
Yeah.
And when we used to, watch footy and hear it on the radio if we could.
Yeah.
Remember they used to have a Kiora Sports Parade.
Yes.
Come up here, 3KZ used to run it, and old Doug Elliott was the compare, and they used to put on a few acts. And this particular year, Ron Clegg and another bloke come up from town to it, and Leo Derrick grabbed me out of the audience after the show and took me around, and I met Ron Clegg. I wouldn't have a clue what I said to him, but I knew he was just in awe of him.
South Melbourne
Brownlow
medalist.
Yeah, Brownlow medalist,
That's pretty cool for kids.
Yeah, so Leo knew Clegg apparently, and
so you still very much were able to have heroes despite not having the TV and all the access that we've got today.
That's right, yep, for sure.
And what, Kevin, did you love about playing footy as a kid? What was so fun about playing it?
Just the competition, I think, as you started off being the bottom, you didn't dislike anybody.
No. Yeah. Only when they played you, they liked to beat you.
Always wanted to beat you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's only natural.
But anyway, they were good days, as I remember playing footy.
Yeah. So I know the guys in the mid-90s, they said they got to come back and there'd be the town hall on the steps, they'd be fated to hold. Was there any of that sort of feel?
No, none of that.
1 year.
1 year was it?
It was 1 year. I'm trying to think who it was. That was the president, Shire president. What's his name?
Taylor.
No.
Brian Cusack.
Cusack.
Oh, yeah.
Brian Cusack. Yeah. And he organised the Shire part of it, and they presented the players on the steps to the crowd. And it was a big crowd. There was a big crowd there.
Did you feel like rock stars for the day? It must have been pretty exciting.
No, it was good. And then they had a function after that, of course. But I don't think that
No, we didn't celebrate for weeks on end, did we? It was too busy. When you finished footy, well, the next week was cricket.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've got to go back to your jobs and everything as well.
Yeah.
You do. You've got cows to milk, all that sort of stuff.
We've probably gone on long enough, guys, but I could probably talk to you for another couple of hours. But Kevin, Kev, so just tell me about your, when you look back over your journey at Leongatha and just being involved, what do you reflect on positively from your time involved at the club?
I think probably family, would be the main reason, because, my grandfather was the president of the club when I was born, and I was there for not every year following, but for 13 odd years he was the president of the club, and he wasn't, even though I've got to say this myself, he was a nice man.
Yep.
He was loved by a lot of people in Leongatha, helped a lot of people for his position as the licensee of McCartan's Hotel. And my grandmother was a lovely lady. And I think the upbringing that I got from my grandparents, they had 6 children, lost 3.
Oh, yeah.
As Jack at the war, didn't come home. Vonda when she was 21. Kevin when he was 5 years old, died. And I never heard my grandparents say any bad things about anybody, truly.
Yeah.
So, and then my father had a bit of a temper when it came to cows and stock and the farm and that, but he was a good footballer. He was a vice captain and a captain of a premiership side in those, what were they called, Al?
In the 40s.
Yeah, they were league at the team. The Imperials.
Yeah, because they had a couple of teams, didn't they?
Yeah, there were a couple of teams there. So my father always encouraged me to play sport. He played a lot of cricket, football, tennis, which people in those days, because it wasn't a big area we lived in, they all played sport of some sort.
Yeah.
So, and I think I was sent away to college. My grandmother encouraged that because her 2 boys, Jack and Joe, both went to St Pat's at Sale. And I just love sport. I probably, a scholar, no. Sport, yes. And I sort of got involved with college and just did all right out of sport.
Just went from there.
Julie's laughing at that scholar thing, so I think you're spot on there. Okay, yeah, so it has really been a family thing for your family. It's amazing.
Yeah, well, I'm the same, Dan. I mean...
Yeah, Graham and Wayne, your sons played.
Yeah.
Obviously, your brother played, and we know Kate is playing netball still.
I had no restrictions on whether I could play or not. You know, if I played cricket and football, and they were always behind me. And another thing, I was a bit lucky. I had a very good wife, and we reared 4 kids, and she did a lot of it while I was playing cricket and football and milk cows and what have you. So
that's it.
And what's her name?
I can agree with all of that.
What's her name?
Barbara.
Barbara?
Yeah.
So,